Before this video begins, I'd just like to give a thank you to our most recent patrons, donators and Twitch subscribers. These being Dante Demonic, Tribal Typhoon, Skyhawkings, Negus, Miss Future Teach and TravisGames. Thank you, all of you. Greetings and welcome to Shadowstar. I'm Captain Ri'shad, aka the Renegade, and this is a Starship stats review video for Star Trek Online. May I introduce you to the magnificent KLEIN class Temple Destroyer. You know, I'm a huge fan of the whales. I do think it's a very pretty ship, but this one has just a whole nother level of beauty about it. Aggressive form, great potential. When we go into this review, we'll be taking a quick delve over what you can possibly do to her customization wise, and then we will jump straight into stats, discuss the stats and what her consort and trait mean for this ship, and then finally, before we come to the conclusion, I'll give a small demonstration of what she can potentially throw out at our adversaries. Now, with this being said, please, members of the Temporal Alliance, get comfortable, choose your beverage well, and shall we begin? So, the available customizations for this ship are quite simple and straightforward. You do have the KLEIN and the Mobius templates available for it. Not gonna lie, I quite like both of them. The KLEIN has something that is just that extra nice about it. You have the KLEIN windows, KLEIN Grey and Standard, along with Wales Grey and Wales Standard, just to give you a bit of choice on what you want to do with the ship. The Temple Interior, Temple Bridge is available for you. And as far as materials go, we are locked with the Aeon, the Dark Mirror, which is a dark plate with a green chromic effect, or dual tone effect. The KLEIN, which to be honest is my least favourite of all the hulls. I'm not really a big fan of an orange. Mirror, which is interesting on this ship, and actually kind of what I would expect it to look like, if I'm honest. The Mobius, which is basically dark mirror and mirror paint job all put together. Confusing me that Dark Mirror doesn't have that on there. You'd have thought Mobius would have been Dark Mirror and Dark Mirror would have been Mobius, but okay. We then have the type holes, which are all quite interesting, and actually lets you see a little bit more clearly what's going on with the arrays at the back there, which is nice. I must say I do appreciate that part. Also gives you an idea of how the deflector's working on this ship. But then also, once you get down there, you get to the excessively white under the wrong areas. Type 6, Type 7 is looking quite nice on this ship. Upgrade, which is plausibly my favourite. The Vern. The Veteran, which does look alright on this ship to be fair. And finally the Whales, which is basically a brighter Vern. Or upgrade. It's one of the others. Like, dark, a little bit lighter, very light. Oh, I'm picking on this ship now. As far as customization goes beyond that, you only have the hull type, so Type 1 and Type 2, as they're calling them, which is literally KLEIN and Mobius. Not sure why they've decided to call it the hull and hull Type 2, but hey, let them do their weird things. It's fine for me. I still think the ship looks amazing. Stats time! So yes, I went and put the Aeon hull on there. Don't mind me, I'm just more of a fan of this look over the KLEIN's natural grey and orange look. Grey, black and orange look. So, what have we got here to discuss? Well, extreme overload, I would say, since this ship is essentially the Whales class in tactical configuration. We're looking at a tier 6 ship with, well, type being a destroyer and a hull modifier of 1.1, which is about the same as the Whales, I do believe. This leads to a maximum base hull of 49,500 at level 65. Kind of low there, but what you expect from a destroyer. This is not your cruisers and your science vessels. And also keeping that in mind, her shield modifier is 1.05. Again, means you won't be tanking with this ship really. She's not really meant for tanking. That isn't to say though she doesn't have the potential to tank. I can certainly think of a tier 5 vessel or tier 5U that has a similar level of potential. Meshweaver. Now, from that we have a base turn rate of 15, which is actually a little bit lower than the Whale's science vessel, so that's funny to say, poor destroyer. And an impulse modifier of 0.2 with an inertia rating of 65. This isn't necessarily bad. She then greatly improves herself with her bonus weapon power or bonus power settings for weapons being a plus 15 and for auxiliary being a plus 5. She is also able to equip an experimental weapon. To top all this off, thanks to her escort rolling, she has 4 forward weapons and 3 aft. In comparison to the Whale's class's 3-3, giving her a little bit more firepower. And then to really explode all things over the top, she is, well, equipped with 5 tactical console slots, 2 engineering console slots, and 4 science console slots. This is overwhelming potential for her, both in the support role, potential to shield tank if you wanted to try and do it, it is somewhat there, and straight up DPS potential in both tactical and science variants. Hybrids are also quite capable of this ship, and this is keeping in mind that this ship is a low buy ship. Yes, part of a very expensive Zen set from the Muds market, Chasing Time I believe it's called, but this can be forgiven since you can technically get it for 900 low B. However, the low buy version will not be an account wide unlock, and therefore if you do wish to have this ship on multiple characters, it could actually turn out to be cheaper for you to buy the Muds Market bundle. Bearing in mind that standardly to go from 0 low B to 900 low B is going to cost you about £120 sterling or whatever it would be in dollars. I have heard apparently the Americans get it a bit better since their dollars actually get more Zen to the value. If you do the direct conversion from pounds to dollars, you'll notice that actually we here in the UK get less Zen. Dicks. Oh well. Doesn't necessarily mean this is 100% a bad thing. Admiralty stats are quite good, but we'll get there in a second. Bridge officers is the next thing to discuss, and this is where the ability of shield tanking and support roles will show itself a bit better than the rest of the ship is showing for it. She has a commander seating of a tactical commander. Sorry, commander tactical, gotta say it that way around, with a temporal officer specialization to this seat. A lieutenant commander tactical with a temporal operative specialization to this seat. So again, it's doing the Whales thing, but instead of science, it's tactical. An ensign engineering, which I'm sorry is a little bit lacking and will definitely not be the most fundamental engineering on this ship if you're really going for a good DPS build. A Lieutenant Universal and a Lieutenant Commander Universal. Now, one of those you're definitely going to want to use for science seating, just for the proc of a few science. But safe to say you've got a decent amount of choice there to choose whether you want to hit the engineering up and increase DPS power, or increase the science potential and go for more control based orientation or drain. The options are there for you, hence me saying this ship can easily side DPS, tactical DPS, any support role, and shield tank. I will add to the disclaimer though that if you are going to shield tank with this ship, you'll probably find regenerative shielding is your better route to take rather than overall shield capacity and endurance. This is not because you can't do that, but because rapidly regenerating your damaged shields would actually prove to be more effective due to the low shield modifier. She has potential. She has freedoms, she can do it. Believe in her. Now, another thing I would just like to point out is that because she is a temporal vessel, she comes steadily equipped with anti-proton weaponry. But of course, that doesn't mean you have to use anti-protons. I won't be. And, well, she came around before we got the actual first experimental weapon slot. So despite being a tier 6, she doesn't actually have her own unique experimental weapon. Kind of a shame. I could have seen them doing something really good with that. But maybe we'll get another temporal ship in the future with an experimental temporal weapon that will just be nice and form-fitting for your themed builds. Now, forgetting all that, because we don't have anything else specialized to say there, we'll start with her trait first. Now, 1.21 terawatts, reference enough, gives you a recharge on captain abilities from electrical and radiation damage. So when you receive electrical or radiation damage, I can think of a few enemies that deal both, your recharge on your bridge officer abilities will be reduced. Now, sorry, your captain's abilities will be reduced by 5%. Maximum once per 10 seconds. Now, there is a minor issue I've got with this. That's a little bit too limited, and as much as I can think of a few enemies that are going to deal that damage, this is going to mean that if you're using this trait, you're specializing yourself towards those enemies for just your captain's abilities. Now, yes, it sounds good. Captain's abilities can be some of the most amazing things to have, especially ones like the miracle repairs or desperate repairs. I can't remember what it was quite called. The engineering's best ability. You've also got the tacticals lot, attack pattern alpha, for example, or your science photonic fleet. It can be great to have this. However, there are far more efficient, far better ways of achieving this 5% boost in recharge time than this trait. Fortunately, that makes this trait fall really low with me, and I will only give it 2 out of 10. It's getting a 2 because it has a practical idea behind it. Just not very many ways you could efficiently make use of it without specializing the build itself towards certain enemies. Shame there. So, will the console make up for it? Well, the console to me is actually really good, especially when you throw it onto other ships, especially anyone who goes for a science build or a support run. So you have 13.3 bonus boost to your control and your drain expertise, improving energy and shield drains, and also improving control effects and resistances to the same, with a plus 5% to your shield resistance. This is brilliant for passive abilities, quickly making this trait one of the most effective I can think of. You then have the ability to summon 2 duplicates of yourself with the Mayhem effect, plus 100 to all damage resistance rating for 30 seconds, and creates 2 future and past quantum duplicates of your ship. Now, to be blunt with you guys, these 2 quantum duplicates act as pets. They do not have the full potential of your ship. They're simply duplicates of a KLEIN. So essentially, or whatever ship you have, you'll have 2 more of that flying as wing ships for a short period of time. They do effective damage. Depending on the ships you're using, you can get some extremely good damage out of them. But do not expect them to be boasting the exact same levels of damage as yourself. As much as that sounds like you're duplicating yourself exactly, not quite. Though I will state this, if you're boosting pet damage, you do boost these. That's one upside to them. Don't know why they seem to get boosted by pet damage, but hey, last time I tested, that seemed to be the case. Oh, wait for them to patch that out. Overall, traits crap. Console gets a... I'm going to give console a 7 out of 10. I think to give console a 7 out of 10 is a lot. It's useful for certain players, not useful for all players. This is definitely more of one that you want to be using as a support player. DPS, though you could technically make use of it by having your 2 duplicates. I hate to say this, but there are definitely vastly superior consoles for DPS players above this one. So no way think of this console if you're a DPS. Enough has been said. Time to take this ship into action. Time for a bit of mayhem. In the mayhem. I'll see you in a minute. Well, actually, for you guys, it's pretty much well, it just came to my mind. I did forget to mention one thing, and that was these temporal abilities. We have offensive, defensive, and support configurations. Each will give you different boosts. Mainly, you'll gain in offensive configuration a flight speed, turn rate, and engine power boost, gaining you 1 offensive counter per 10 seconds, but decreases your hull by 20%. Defensive configuration is a plus 10 to shields, a plus 20% hull healing, and a defensive counter over 10 seconds, but reduce flight speed and turn rate of 16.7%. And the support counter is a auxiliary power boost, exotic damage boost of 20%, and a control expertise boost of 40%. Great for anyone who's flying support or control. And even better than that, it gives you a support counter that gives you, well, support counter every 10 seconds. Notice will reduce your energy weapon damage. When you finally complete these counters, up to a maximum of 6, you can unleash the molecular deconstruction beam, which, depending on how many counters you have in offensive, defensive, and support configurations, will either give you physical damage of around 4,000 physical damage per second for 5 seconds per counter. So with 6 counters, that 4,000 is increased to 24,000, essentially a lance. Your hull healing you can gain of 2,000 hull heals per second for 5 seconds. Bearing in mind that this is per second, I just said, so that's 24,000 physical damage per second for 5 seconds, or, well, 12,000 hull healing per second for 5 seconds with 6 counters. And then finally, the support counters will give you disable for 3 seconds. Disabling your foe for 3 seconds with 6 counters. 18-second disable anyone? Pretty damn powerful. Now then, let's see how well the ship actually performs. Now I'm going to reduce engine power here because I'm just going to try and annihilate in my own special, unique manner that I love to do so. Like this. Aha! They're all going to be wiped out. To be fair, I specialise with this kind of ship that takes a support DPS kind of role. And that is literally what I'm using it, a support DPS build now. So we'll see how well it does. The support DPS build I'm using is actually a DPS off DPS increase, but also minor control, which is basically where I gain the balance. For Typhon's Rift is going to give me my bit of extra damage. Now let's see how well the Miheim effect works while we're at it. Here we go. Which one do you want to fight? Now while I'm at it, let's get that off there, give it a bit of damage boosting, and disable him. Ah. And as you can see, this is a bit too easy now. My shields are fine. I'm fine. Moves towards next target. We have a Keldon class. Don't think he's going to pull up much of a fight either. This ship has just got way too much ability, and I haven't even bothered using the offensive counters yet, or any of other disables. Do you know what, full off of it, we'll go support, reduce my energy damage, and see how much that has really affected the build. I'm going to go after the Jemadars first, and then try to take on the Keldon. But I'm going to grab the Keldon's attention just to make this a little bit more difficult. Excuse me, come on. All my abilities don't want to proc off right now. That was not what I needed at that moment in time. Wookie! I'm actually going to take these guys out so quick I don't even have a chance to use the other one. Ah, dearie me. Advantages, people. Advantages when you're just a bit too powerful for the enemy. The right abilities and that, this ship just becomes a devastating monster. I mean, there are DPS ships that are stronger. Like, okay, there's a lot of DPS ships that are stronger. But that's not to say this ship isn't definitely worthwhile in the consideration. Amongst the low buy store, there are plenty that can give this one a run for its money. Considering this is a low buy ship, I should state that now that, honestly, I do advise the Vengeance over this ship, just for having slightly better traits, slightly better console, and basically being a bit more of a powerhouse overall. It can take a lot more damage, and it even has a hangar bay. But it is limited in the science realms. However, the ship being a temporal, the dreadnought being a intel, it gives you a fair difference. Depends on whether you prefer temporal over intel. Honestly, final rundown of the ship, I'll be blunt. I do enjoy the ship. I do think she's quite a good vessel, especially for those just getting into DPS. So if you're looking for a decent DPS vessel that is going to help you learn the ropes of DPS relatively well, this could be a good ship to do it with. For support players, definitely a ship to consider. It gives you a lot more attack capability than your typical support vessel will, and she will support comfortably, so it's a worthwhile choice. Only tanks do I could say not really one to consider. Maybe if you're a regenerative tank and you're used to taking a regenerative role, but otherwise probably give this ship a miss. Overall scores, DPS, I'll very happily give her an 8.5 out of 10. There's a reason I'm not giving her a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, and that's simply because her traits are a little bit subpar, and, well, if you did specialize in the DPS side of things, though she's very strong, she starts to open up new weaknesses. Weaknesses I don't have because I'm a support DPS, but you saw the amount of damage I was taking. In a support role, easily give it 9 out of 10. She's an amazing support ship for a ship that specializes in DPS, or I should say for a destroyer, so happily give her a 9 out of 10 there. However, if she was talking in comparison to other DPS vessels, other support vessels, I would still certainly recommend considering a cruiser or a science vessel over this one, just because, again, this ship tends to lack in the defensive parameters. Finally, for tanks, due to her over-specialization in one area for tanking, meaning you're limited in choice, I'm afraid I'm going to have to give her a 4 out of 10. I do not respect ships that have a over-specialization towards one specific way of play for that role. But let's bear in mind, she's not meant to be a tank, so that is not going to affect the overall score being 8 out of 10. She's absolutely amazing as a vessel for anyone taking support DPS roles. Great choice for first time DPS builds. Great choice for getting used to escorts, which have even lighter hull damage and somewhat more limited limited support options. She's definitely one of these vessels that helps you learn the ropes, and it's something I like about her. Now, what are your thoughts on this ship? That's the bit I really want to know now. That requires you to comment below and let me know. Other than that, can I just say a huge thank you for watching to the very end of this video and supporting the channel by doing so. If you have found this helpful in any manner, I hope you'll give the video a like to get this video out there in the YouTube algorithm and help it get noticed. If you're new to the channel, this is one of the things I work on mainly, definitely more now than I used to, and there will be more reviews coming out in the future along with my cinematic series. What is the plural for that? I'm stupid! And To my patrons and my donators, a massive thank you for the support you have given this channel in its growth. I literally wouldn't still be able to do this without your support right now. Now, with all this being said, thank you guys. Have a great new year, considering the time of year it is. And ciao for now. Live long and prosper, my friends.